Chapter 12. Example of an ideal business. Coming from a research background, I tended to build everything from scratch to satisfy my ego. I was envisioning myself to be like an entrepreneur who is like the Wright brothers of the aviation industry. As opposed to popular belief, I learned the lesson that entrepreneurship is primarily about vision, implementation, collaboration, scale-up, etc., and very little about innovation. Let me explain what I mean with the following example. Airline companies like American Airlines, Lufthansa, Air India, etc., are successful airline companies. One common thing among all of them is that they do not manufacture their own airplanes. Instead, they buy them from Boeing or Airbus. In other words, big corporations almost always outsource specialized tasks to others who can do it better, instead of doing it themselves. To put their own label, they add their own vision, flavor, culture, and custom services. Considering that I was a hardcore technical professional with multiple degrees, this was an important lesson for me. That's why I realized that I needed to set aside my ego, my patent, and 24 years of academic education to inherit decades of life experience and the business system from my mentors. Why do I need to reinvent the wheel when it already exists? NutriDocs is a virtual clinic which focuses upon natural health consulting so that people can stay healthy and focus their energy on bigger life goals instead of hospital visits. The vision for a drug-free wellness lifestyle came as a natural result of who we are. We have evolved over billions of years to be healthy and not stay sick. So it made sense to us to focus on wellness instead of diagnosis and therapy because prevention is always better than cure. The scientific aspect of our business already existed in scientific literature. My team and I brought them together to create a functional system for scientific evidence-based health and wellness consultation. In other words, I was trying to be a genius until middle of my PhD. But I learned that real success happens when we humble down and bring out the genius in others. Let's examine how NutriDocs, our health and wellness company, satisfies all the parameters we discussed in the last chapter. 1. Lean startup. We started it online and stayed away from any kind of manufacturing. We outsourced all the headaches and infrastructure of business operations to our vendors. As a result, using a very minimal amount of money, which was within 10% of my monthly income at the time. Small businesses manufacture their products, whereas big businesses create supply chains and leverage existing small to medium-sized businesses. 2. Scalable. I have 0 employees in my company. Everyone is an independent contractor who works on a part-time basis in parallel to their full-time profession. Just like in companies such as Uber, Airbnb, or Zomato, people take more ownership and I don't need to pay them any salary. They get paid purely on their merit and performance. 3. Mentorship access. Each individual person can only go so far independently. The key to exponential growth is symbiotic neurodiversity, diverse yet united. We have our own robust training and education system so that we empower our team just like we do for our own family. We identify each person's strengths and work on them, and at the same time, cover their blind spots as a team. We build them up so they can maximize their own potential. Even though our profit shares are tied together, we don't work for each other. As a result, we go out of our way to support each other in every area of life in an interdependent way. This includes support in health, finances, relationships, career, and spiritual areas as well. My mentors went to the extent of arranging an important part of our wedding at their home when the world was literally shut down during the challenging pandemic time. To this day, they continue to help us in our marriage and financial counseling as and when needed. I like to call it marketplace parenting. Furthermore, no one is anyone's boss in our team that creates a culture where everyone gets to voice their thoughts through proper channels and contribute to the pool of knowledge. 4. Flexible. The many seemingly endless headaches of business and life are taken care of by our vendors and mentors. I started building my business in parallel to my full-time PhD, where I was working 12 hours and 7 days a week. I was busy and had very little to no business experience to begin with, but I was able to find time in my evenings and weekends because I didn't want to stay stuck in the rut. We can either cry about our problems and stay stuck there, or use them to motivate ourselves to get out of the situation. If I can do it, probably anyone else can, if they put in their part of effort and operate with a similar attitude and approach like I did. Having an already established system and support from experienced professionals and successful entrepreneurs solidified my belief that if I cannot even perform in this safe environment where everything is already set up, then it is going to be very difficult for me to go outside and do it all by myself. For those of you planning to start a business on your own, I encourage you to pause, think, and reflect on that. 5. Resilient. Quite often, we get hung up upon the glamour of the product or service we are offering. A cell phone business might sound like a more compelling idea to work on compared to a basic consumer goods business, but consider this. During a bad economy when people are in a financial crunch, do you think they will buy a new cell phone or a new tube of toothpaste? There are 3 industries that are least likely to ever be negatively impacted by the financial crisis and are very predictable: health, education, and consumer goods. In fact, in some cases such as the COVID-19 pandemic, these industries saw significantly more growth compared to before the pandemic. Even our companies which were in the health and education fields expanded across multiple countries from just a couple during the coronavirus crisis. In other words, we learned to think practically about business design instead of thinking about it emotionally. Lastly, touching on the topic of conscience instead of trying to change the world, we lead by example. I couldn't find a better way to build the business than the one on which I started working in partnership with my team and mentors, where I could empower people in every area of life. I did this not by using people to make a profit, but using the system to build myself and others before thinking about profit. Until that point, throughout my work and academic experience, it was always profit over people. The point to note here is that when we put people first and follow through with proper work ethic, profit will follow. But if we chase profit, we lose that, and the people too. When we build up people, there is a good chance that they would do better than us, and when that happened, I wouldn't feel upset. Instead, I felt proud. Just like a parent is proud of their child's successes, I was proud of my business kids, so to speak. Additionally, because of the profit-sharing system that we had set up, the problem of a high ego was not an issue. Everyone earns based on their performance, not based on a title. Thus, I become successful when I help other people become successful. The same applies for our clients. Unlike the medical industry, we don't believe in making our clients cash cows. Instead, we want them to become healthy and never come back with the same problem in future. You might be thinking, how do we get sustained and recurring business? Well, the people who benefit from our services become our ambassadors, and they bring in more people whom we can support. In other words, we use business to build people instead of using people to build our business. Also, I like to openly share our secrets of success with others because I am not in competition with other healthcare providers. Instead, I believe I am in a collaboration with them. We are all collectively working towards a common cause, empowering people to be physically, mentally, and financially fit so that we can thrive, not just survive. I didn't pursue my nanotechnology ideas and patents as my first startup because they didn't satisfy any of the above parameters. Going back to the airplane example, building a startup like that would be equivalent to trying to fly a block of metal. It takes a lot of energy to fly it, and even after that, it won't be sustainable. Same applies for any high investment idea like stock market, manufacturing, online or physical product, cryptocurrency, or real estate. In other words, I use these parameters to stay focused on businesses that work. That isn't to say that businesses that don't fit all 5 parameters don't work. But when starting up your first successful venture, they are of the utmost importance. You can succeed by ignoring these parameters, but you will for sure pay the extra toll for it. If you look at many top companies, you will see that it was not the first company started by its founders. It is very easy to get distracted by a lot of shiny ideas that look or sound good, but that doesn't mean they are the perfect fit to build as a first venture for you. Using these parameters as selection criteria helped me stay focused and say no to anything that doesn't fit well with my long-term outcomes. Your startup idea doesn't need to satisfy all the parameters to begin with, but the goal should be to continue working towards satisfying all of them so that your operating costs remain low. If you need to pick and choose one parameter to start with, I suggest satisfying the co-pilot or mentor parameter. A good mentor knows which businesses will work for you and how to navigate it. My mentors are living the life I want to live, but not necessarily doing what I want to do. For example, my interest was in nanotech, but they specialize in e-commerce. But through that path, they were living my core values of impact, freedom, family time, and travel within a reasonable time frame. It's quite like the Chakravyuha from the great Indian epic Mahabharata, a type of war formation that requires great problem-solving skills to exit it safely. It has only one solution, and a wrong solution usually proves to be lethal. Abhimanyu died in the battle because of inadequate knowledge to navigate. In a similar way, so many ideas may sound great, but only a few will prove to be bulletproof in your current state. Having the right mentorship is the key to making it through safely. Another important area to consider is the relationship versus credibility principle. Many of us want our mentor to be a person who has a shiny profile. Who wouldn't want to get mentored by Elon Musk or Tony Robbins? The problem is that although we know them, they don't know us. And even if they know us, they can't relate with us because they are too high up. It's like a Nobel Prize-winning researcher trying to teach fundamentals to a primary school kid. It doesn't work out very well. People sometimes think that I got lucky. I do accept that luck does play a role, but luck only favors the ones who put in the effort. Luck equal to labor under correct knowledge. Further, there is a misconception among people with low self-image that why would a successful person give their valuable time to them? The truth is that some of the successful people are looking for their potential successor. The key is to learn about their thought process via various resources. Implement it and let them know how it helped you, and how you can potentially help them advance their work. The Prime Minister may not reply to your email, but an assistant professor or manager at a company might reply, and then it's up to you to earn the next level of relationship. Just like job application, you need to keep trying different methods until you succeed. I got PhD positions in the topmost labs and access to my entrepreneurship mentors using the same approach. In other words, don't look for a perfect mentor. The key is to get the best out of whatever you have access to and keep working your way up. Remember that even though I went through 5 layers of people in the network to find my mentors, I still have a good relationship with all of them. Our best teachers aren't the ones who have a shiny profile, but the ones who have a shiny heart. They care about us and can relate with us because they know us at a personal level. My mentors wouldn't have arranged my wedding at their home when my family was against it, or cooked food for us when we were busy running to the emergency room in the hospital, if they didn't have a good heart. And the practical reason why they do that for us is because we didn't make them work on my ideas. I work with them on their ideas in a mutually beneficial partnership. In other words, you can afford mentorship without paying a large sum by applying what Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. A mentor with a shiny profile may not be able to, won't know, or care about you at this level. Note: another way to look at this idea using the ikigai and/or the hedgehog concept. You may look it up to get a detailed insight about it. Chapter summary. Big corporations always outsource specialized tasks to other people who can do it better than them instead of doing it themselves. The key to exponential growth is symbiotic neurodiversity. 3 industries are least impacted by the financial crisis and are very predictable: health, education, and consumer goods. Don't look for a perfect mentor. The key is to get the best out of whatever you have access to. Your mentors may not have a shiny LinkedIn profile, but they should have a shiny and caring heart.